All right, welcome to this week's HPHQ podcast, but it's no longer just called the HPHQ podcast, Webby. It's called now Burson Garage HPHQ Podcast. How good?
How good. Isn't it great to have those guys on board?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a podcast about some of the, best car guys around our scene and beyond. And, we have some exciting things planned for, now in 2021 as well. To have Burson on just makes things awesome.
Yeah, look, it's like we just said, it's great to have them on board, but they're also on board for Summer Nats and some of our other events. So, a really great progressive company and just really good in our industry. And so you guys out there, support Burson. Absolutely.
And this is a great progressive podcast. Every week we keep bringing the heat, which is really good. Tonight we've got a very special guest on. He's we want you to listen to every word he says because this guy's been around forever. Webby, give us a bit of insight.
Yeah, I don't know whether like you say, he's been around forever, but he has done a lot of things, and that's Jeno, which is better known. Glenn Jennings, better known as Jeno. He had what I would consider probably the best car collection in Australia, and even a really world-class car collection. He had up to 100 cars at one stage in Newcastle, and his museum was called Lost in the 50s. He used to have great Christmas parties and great open days every month. And what was pretty special about that was that every car was quite unique in its own way, and also his memorabilia was stunning. He had so much memorabilia, stuff I'd never even seen. Coca-Cola. He had a full Elvis Presley collection, which he bought intact from Las Vegas. So,
and I hear he rubbed shoulders with a few famous people along the way for his work. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He also has headed up for quite a few years one of probably the biggest security company in Australia, and he's done all the ANZ stuff in quite a few other places, and
exciting events.
Yeah. So from rugby league grand finals, everything right up to ACDC, who he calls them his friends. So
how good's that? So stick around for that chat because it's a good one. He's also Tim Zoo's, the boxer who's going to fight tomorrow night. He's his he's his manager, right?
Manager, and really looks after him and just really looks out for the kid because he was really, really close with his dad, Kostya, and spent a lot of time with him. And that game is, if you can get surrounded by good people, it's unique, and Glenn is one of those good people.
So I guess you could say he is his promoter in a sense. He wants the best for Tim, no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
All right, perfect. After that, we've also got you and Rach again back for Shop Talk. I think we're up there.
Yep. 5 or 6?
No, we're on 5, mate. 5.
5. There you go. Yeah, so we're about halfway through, and we're up to pretty much what we're doing on that vehicle, where we're working on it, doing the body work, and that's a lot of fun. And Rach, she's just such a great girl.
She is a legend. And she's so young. Imagine she's got so much to achieve in the next 20, 30 years in this game. It's going to be unbelievable, right?
My goal through all the things I've done and achieved is to bring young people through. And I tell you, I didn't even envisage somebody just so unique as Rach. I mean, she's just the best. I love her.
Absolutely. And then we got Benny Benz in the Mad Quiz. Won't tell you the guests yet. You'll have to stick around.
I don't love him.
He is an idiot, but he's a good bloke. And he's here for the long haul, so, what do we do?
All right. I hope he doesn't do too big come out too much for Christmas. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, who knows, mate? Apparently he's sleeping over my place this Christmas. He's got to stay. He's got a bunker here, so who knows?
There you go.
Another little special treat tonight is we got Phil Kergin on the podcast, sort of. So I spent a little bit of time with Phil at his workshop and in his man cave, which is something else. So tonight's we're just going to show you like a little quick 5 minutes of that, and then the rest of it will be on YouTube coming soon. So that's going to be really cool. It could be coming this Thursday, actually. A little IT tech super summer nats guy just said through the old microphone, earphones, headphones, whatever it is, whatever they are. Check it out. A couple of minutes of teaser tonight, and then that video is going to be coming out on Thursday night. So stick around for that on Thursday.
Great.
The teaser tonight. Phil, super dude. He's got a burnout Masters in him one day, doesn't he, Webby? Surely.
He definitely has, and he, like you said, he's a great guy, really good to talk to, been around a long time, knows the scene well liked in the scene. Yeah, and it was interesting when we're doing the podcast over the last period of time that nearly everybody wanted him to win a Masters. So, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a super dude. So look forward to that. All right, let's get on with the show. Let's get on with it.
Let's go.
All right, this is a bit of a special treat for everyone this week. We're going to have a chat with one of Summonat's favourite mates. Let's go knock on the door and say g'day. This was like a Burke's backyard type thing, you know. Who's going to answer?
Hey, Mr. Bennis, what's going on?
What's going on, mate? Someone's been blowing a few tyres off, eh?
This is a customer I've done some work on about a year ago, 2 years ago. Done some brake lines and bits and pieces on him. This one's a bit of a poor project, eh? I'm probably going to get this one done for next year. A lot of people have heard about the what we call the smoke and rhubarb.
Hello, can I speak to Andy Lopez, please? Yeah, here you go, mate. Put some more events on, mate. Some of that's slam. Some of that's rev rock and roll. Rocky Nats. Red Center Nats. Mad.
I've got a top fuel slick from the States from 2008 when I first went to the States to watch to go to SEMA and watch NHRA for the first time. And I actually managed to buy one of the Kalitta Motorsports, like Doug Kalitta's top fuel slick, off one of his cars.
Thanks for having me out, mate.
Thanks for coming out, mate.
Cheers, appreciate it.
Good to catch up with you in the rhubarb.
Absolutely, mate. It's a bit of a, it's a walk through time of your career. And all your friends and everything like that?
Yeah, you can. There's so many stories, you just keep talking and talking. And
the walls talk, don't they? There's so many
And then, you know what? Then them stories have other stories and it just keeps going.
Summonats is heading back to Canberra in 2021 as the Rare Spares Summonats Rev Rock and Roll kicks down the door and lights up the pad at Exhibition Park. Entries. They will go on sale December 1. Spectator tickets on sale in January. Bring your ride to Epic for one huge long weekend in March with most of the same ingredients that make Summonats so special. Join in on the annual City Cruise. Party hard on Skid Row. Get them gleaming in the hunt for the Grand Champion and get those tyres off on the Burnout Pad, where we'll crown the 2021 Burnout Masters Champion. In line with COVID-19 restrictions, capacity is extremely limited, which means once we've sold out, that's it. If you don't want to miss your spot at this Summonats homecoming party, make sure you get your entry in this Tuesday, December 1. 2021's going to be mad.
Because Summonats is mad.
Mad. Ah, you thought I was gone. The Burnout Masters game has a new update. There's a new pro car, Loose Q, a new level, Tropical Meltdown, new cars, HQ Wagon, BA Ute, and an XP sedan. There's also new engines in Full On and LS1. And there's 4 new tyre compounds which completely change the game. Get the Burnout Masters update, get the game on your phone and start smashing tyres.
Smashing tyres, mad.
Rev Rock and Roll kicks into Exhibition Rocks and Rolls. Rock and Roll, yeah. Rev Rock and Revs and Skids. Spares Exhibition Park. Spares. Oh, mate. We'll get it. We'll get it. Calm down. This is almost like a shit ad. Even when I try and make good ads, I make shit ads. We're good. All right, ready? The Rare Spares Summonats Rev Rock and Roll kicks down the door and lights up the pad at Exhibition Park. We did it.
All right, tonight on HPHQ, got a really good mate of mine, Glenn Jennings, but more than that, he's actually probably one of the most travelled and well-credentialed guys I know. So welcome aboard, mate.
Good to see you, Webby. Thanks for the invite, mate.
G'day, Glenn.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good.
So just a little bit of your background. Obviously, we're going to go through all this, but I also want to talk to you about, I personally think you had the best car collection in Australia, definitely, if not the world, or one of the best. Some of the cars you had, we'll go into that. You have been security boss at ANZ Stadium and a few other places, but some of the concerts and people you've done there is just amazing. So I want to touch on that. And then some people may know, some people may not, you managed Costa Zoo for many a year, and now you're doing Tim, his son. So if we can touch on all that stuff tonight, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to have a chat.
Yeah, awesome. So as I just say there, you're a really interesting guy, and I wanted to first touch on your cars. You had a most unbelievable museum called Lost in the 50s up around Newcastle, and as nearly every car there had something special about it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a lifelong passion, and still is for me to this day. About at the time I unloaded the museum 2 years ago, it was about 35 years of buying those cars from the United States and bringing them in. And about 8 years we had the doors of the museum open and had a wonderful time with it. But like everything, as you get older, times change and you move on with grandkids and other things you want to do with your life. But I always be a car guy. I still got about 20 cars tucked away here that I enjoy. But at the peak of the museum, we had about 150 cars, all Americans. Wow. And like you said, all had a special something about them, and that took a lot of collecting and a lot of fun, a lot of adventures.
Yeah.
I think I'm up to about 115 or 116 trips to the United States, something like that.
Wow. That's unreal, isn't it? So you obviously had good contacts over there who were either looking for cars or sourcing or just helping you find stuff?
Absolutely, and still to this day, some great mates all across America, and they still, to this day, 2 years on, still send me stuff and, are you interested? And I try to explain that I'm not in the museum anymore, and I don't know what it is. I think they're all a bit brain dead from the election.
COVID.
COVID and the election.
I know this is a bit of a crazy question. There's two things I want to ask you. Obviously, your memorabilia. You had a whole collection. I think you bought out of Vegas of Elvis. Like that just blew my mind. So much stuff, but your memorabilia. But what was sort of your favourite bits of memorabilia you had there?
Oh gosh, when we went to auction, the auctioneer at first thought it was a scam. I sent him some photos and I said, "Would you be interested in having a look at putting this stuff under the hammer?" And he thought I was a scammer. He came back and he said, "There's no way one bloke can own that much memorabilia." And I said, "Well, it's true." And he came up and spent multiple open days with us pre-auction, but we had to do a rough head count, and it took us a while. We were just under 10,000 pieces that we collected over all of those years. And as you know, you've seen it plenty of times. I think it took us something in the vicinity of about 34 hours on the auction block to move it all. And it all went, Webby. The amazing part for me, I never had any doubt. I always knew that the museum cars and memorabilia had an impact on people, because over those 8 years you got that reaction and that feeling. Definitely. And so when it went to auction, we had unbelievable response, and we had bidders from worldwide, literally all over the world, bidding on the cars and the memorabilia. And amazingly, every single item, every car and every piece of memorabilia sold. And so over a very short period of time, like a cyclone, it was gone. Yeah. And that was very sad for me, because one day it was there and then it was gone. And that took a little while for me to get used to, the fact that lifelong collection was gone. But it's nice. I've kept in touch with a lot of the owners of the cars, and they stay there, and some of them are overseas, and a lot of them around Australia. So it's nice to be able to have that relationship and know the cars are being well looked after. But it's great also to see them out on the road again, which is part of the reason why it was time to let them go.
No doubt, though, before you sold them off or auctioned them off, you did a walk around and go, well, that one's staying. That one's staying.
It's true. Look at Webby. He's getting excited.
Because I picked the cars he was going to keep.
He bloody well did too, and he was bloody near on the dollar. And funnily enough, what I actually had to do was, once I had decided on the cars I was going to keep, I actually brought them home. So they were never down there on view, and never nobody even got the chance to look at them as an auction item.
Yeah. That Bonneville is, as you know, is one of my favourites. He had a two-tone green Bonneville. That is a awesome car.
Yeah, still my favourite car. I get asked that all those years at the museum. That car, there's probably 3 that sit high with me, maybe 4, but that car, the split-window Corvette, and the 57 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz convertible, they are special cars, and I ended up building a little Lost in the 50s at home for my grandson because he missed the museum terribly. Okay. So we've got a little shed that holds 4 cars, and it looks I kept some of the wall stuff, and we made a little version for him, so that's his hangout.
Yeah, did you drive a lot of the cars a lot of the time, Glenn, as well?
Mate, I did, but it does reach a time, and any of the guys that have a few cars will attest to this, that there's not enough hours in the day, and the museum format was so busy that by the time I'd done an open day, which was only once a month, and by the time we'd put them all away again, I didn't want to see them again until I had to unwrap them again for the next open day, and it used to just go by in a flash. Yeah. But I always did my best.
You're busy working on the security business as well.
That's right. Yeah. And sometimes I'd be away for months at a time on different tours and stuff. So it was fun, but it was an awful lot of hard work. I'm 57 now, and a couple of knee replacements square you up when it comes to pushing them big 2.5 ton Americans around.
Hey, just for again for people out there listening to this. One interesting car, obviously, because it was a Batmobile, and I think it was one of the early ones of George's. But we actually used that car, and we brought George into Morex in that car, didn't we? Wasn't that unreal?
We did, and God love him, George. That was wasn't that long after that we lost him, but we had a couple of wonderful days with him, and he loved that car, and I got some great photos, and I actually forwarded a lot of those photos on to the new owners, and they're in Sydney. They're car collectors in Sydney, and they've got a nice collection. I think on the day those guys spent a lot of money. I think they bought about 6 cars and then came back and bought about $1 million worth of memorabilia. So they spent a lot of money, and they just love it. They're Batmobile fans for the rest of their lives.
That was that is such an iconic car, and that was one of the good ones because there's been so many different ones made over the years, but that was a genuine replica, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful replica. It was handmade by a young fella in Atlanta over 5 years, and I was lucky enough to get hold of that car just coming on completion. So a couple of little personal things added, and then and brought it to Australia and had it for a long time. And it with the Back to the Future DeLorean were 2 of the sort of movie cars, and the Eleanor in the museum that everybody loved.
It's interesting, isn't it, that in Australia a lot of people don't really get it, but when you travel to the States a lot, you realise that they're such iconic cars, those cars, and they build really good replicas. Like Keith Dean now, he's building the Grease replica. Yes. And just all those cars.
Monkey Mobile.
Yeah, all those type of cars. So they're all recreating them, aren't they? Yeah.
They are. And there is a big swing over the last probably 5 years towards this nostalgia that comes out of that period in America, because America's a bit of a dark place at the moment. As you know, we've been travelling there for 40 years, and I've seen it progressively deteriorate. And sadly, with everything that's going on over there, they've got some problems. So if you can find a reason to go back to a better time and a better place, then that era gives that to them. So whenever there's a movie car display on, you're guaranteed of a sellout crowd in America. And that's what I tried to create here in Australia with the museum. It was all about if you're having a miserable week at work, you can come to my place on a Sunday. And if you don't walk out with a big smile on your face, you really don't even have a pulse.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember you saying that to me, and I thought, how true. Like, if you're a bit down, jump in one of these cars, listen to some 50s, 60s music, you're back on it again, aren't you? Yeah.
What gave you that passion, Glenn, for that?
Yeah, it was a simple time.
Of car. What gave you the passion for that era of car and that sort of that memorabilia? Was it?
That's a great question. I was a Matchbox car kid,
Okay.
And so I grew up with the Matchbox car collection, of which I'm fortunate enough, many years ago now, probably going on 30 years ago, I stumbled across an obscure little auction out in the backwoods of America, and this old couple had a series of Lesney Matchbox cars still in the box, had never been taken out, 1 through 75.
Wow.
And I managed to get them, and I've kept them, and they're in a temperature-controlled glass display. And that was, for me, I think, the thing, sitting at home as a young kid watching all the American TV shows, you looked outside at the Australian cars of the day, and then you looked at the American TV cars, and it was chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
So there was an immediate attraction, and I went to America very young. I was there at 18, and I was hooked. And so the adventure began, and I just found that there seemed to be a niche for people that really enjoyed the odd stuff that I brought in more so than the mainstream. So you'd bring in the Mustangs and you'd bring in the Corvettes, but then I'd bring in a Studebaker or a Hudson, and people would just go mad. They'd say, what the hell is it?
Yeah.
And so there was a niche there. So I went looking for memorabilia with a single sort of theme to it all, was find something that you won't find anywhere else in Australia.
Yeah.
And the museum had some of the most bizarre things, but they were just eye-catchers, and it was captured an era that when America was a superpower and at its best, and we've lost that, and we'll probably never see it again. But it's a great time to go back to, for sure.
Yeah. Mate, I could talk about that all night, but I want to get on to another part of your life, which was you heading up a huge security company, obviously, and you were done all the stuff at ANZ right from the beginning, did you? Right when it opened.
Yeah. Well, my company, NES, if ever you watch any of those major events, you see all those yellow vests around the stadium, they're my guys taking care of people, and we just quietly go about taking care of business. I mean, at our biggest, we had 7 of the big stadiums running in 1 year, and unfortunately, that's unachievable in an industry driven by sheer manpower. Some of our shows are 600 guards, so you can imagine multiplying that by 2, 3 or 4 stadiums on the same night. It's a big stretch of manpower. So we calmed it all, pulled it all back down. Today we look after the two specials in Sydney, ANZ we've been at, and the Bankwest Stadium at Parramatta, and we are the consultants for Optus Stadium in Perth. But the beauty of the stadiums is that it introduced me very early in my business career to some of the biggest promoters in the world. Yeah. And they became great mates, and our relationship from there, they would ring me and say, hey, guys, hey, Glenn, Rolling Stones are touring the South Pacific, Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand. Can you start on this date? And there'd be, 75 shows over multiple months. And so off you go and you do these tours. So I've been blessed to have that close working relationship with the biggest acts in the world when they come this way. And Rolling Stones.
On that, one of my favourites is I think it was the last big AC/DC tour. Brian Johnson actually came up and had a look at your cars, didn't he?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you absolutely are. Yeah, Brian's a great mate, as are all the AC/DC guys. I've toured with them quite a few times now, so they're great mates, and we keep in touch. And Brian's a car guy, as you know. He's got his own car show. So he was breaking his neck, and so we had a couple of days off between a show in Sydney. And so, he came up and spent a whole day, and he just couldn't believe that in a place like Newcastle that this existed, and that was the nice attraction, as was the case with Barry Maguire and your mate Wade Kawasaki and all the Americans that came out and filmed the place. Yeah, were just flabbergasted. It just looked like a nondescript sort of a big old warehouse. Yeah, and then you open the door and bang, they're at Disneyland in Newcastle.
Well, especially for a bloke like Brian from Newcastle as well, no doubt.
Yeah. We did laugh about that. I didn't laugh when he tried to drive me 37 Ford out of the shed down the freeway. He was gone. He was taking it out.
Interesting.
He's a funny guy, Brian.
Yeah. One thing you said there, which was really interesting, Barry Maguire. For anybody who doesn't know, he's from the Maguire family, generation, and he has more access to people and cars anywhere than probably anybody I know.
Yeah, in the world. I think so. And I think he's the number one light.
And he was blown away, absolutely stunned by your museum, wasn't
he? Yeah. The lovely thing, Barry and I have become great mates, and I visit when he's over there and he visits when he's here, and and that's lovely. But the real nice thing he did for me was when he got home after that, he'd done a beautiful little video, basically just telling Australia, come on, you don't know what you're missing. If you haven't been, you need to see this because these things don't last forever. Car museums don't have a life that goes on forever. So on the back of that, everybody, it was like a whole new kick along for us. So I'll always be grateful to Barry. He's a wonderful guy and terrific family man and just a brilliant, brilliant ambassador for what we do with our cars and our hobby.
100%. And just on back to your security stuff. So you do the footy, the grand finals, the footy, and all that stuff, don't you?
All of those, yeah, all the major events, grand final, state of origin, anything that comes into town that's a big show, we'll either be managing or supplying the staff. So I don't have a lot to do with that today. My brother Mark's been running the security group for probably 15 years now, but more so the last 5 years I've stepped away a little bit to try and enjoy. You've got to remember I've been at this since I was 19 without a break. So the security business has been consistent in my life and it's been a lot of hard work. It doesn't come easy, a lot of bad days and a lot of tough days and a lot of drama. And we took on Bathurst when it was at its worst and we were there for 17 years. So you see the Bathurst that you see today, we brought in over those 17 years a lot of stuff to make life better for everybody in that event. Right. And it had to catch up with the times. And crowd management and crowd control today is a critical thing. You know, if you have 85,000 people in the stadium, it's a massive responsibility to get them in and get them home safe, especially in a world that's continually under the shadow of terrorism and stuff. And counter-terrorism is a daily occurrence for us in discussion. So it's not just throw 500 or 600 guys in a vest and go and do it. It's quite intense. And then you throw COVID into the mix of that. And trying to rebuild, like our business went from the biggest in the country to literally nothing overnight in March this year when COVID hit. We were fortunate that we were well placed and we rode it through on crumbs basically, but we're coming out the other side. And everyone's got a hard luck story, and we're no different. But you've got to look on the bright side of things, mate. We only get one go round, so let's be positive and keep on moving.
Yeah, I take my hat off to you, Glenn. With no doubt that sort of everyone that works in that security stuff, the culture bleeds down from you, no doubt, and all the guys up above, and because. Like any event, Summernats or any event, everyone wants everyone to go home the same way they turn up, nice and safe.
Absolutely.
Because people are out having fun when they're at work. They're thinking about these events on a Thursday. They want to get there on the Saturday, and and we're such a great country for events too. I think
Oh, absolutely is, mate. One of the best in the world, and I've done the events all over the world, and we are just so far in front of them in all terms. I mean, Webby's Motor X shows, for example. I mean, they are on par with the best shows I've seen in the US, which is the epitome of car shows. That's where it all happens. And I mean, if you compare our event managers to theirs, we are so far in front of them, it's ridiculous. We take our events to a much higher level, and that's a wonderful thing. And hopefully we can get on the back of this COVID and get back to doing some big sellout shows. Again,
a bit of a crazy question, but do you actually have a favourite or a really standout show you've done? Somebody you really enjoyed?
Oh, mate, I love the AC/DC tours. I mean, that's Australian rock and roll heritage. And when sometimes I'll stand there down in the pit and I'll look up and I'll see Brian, and sometimes I'll give you a wink or a nudge or they'll throw something at you just for fun, just to. But you know what? It's like just watching your mates going through the motions, and then you turn around and look at an 80,000 crowd, and they are just mesmerised. And they're one of those bands that does that. And look, the other one that was an absolute blow-away for me, and it's tragic, I know, but I did 9 weeks with Michael Jackson, and that guy was one of those artists that just had the entire audience eating out of his hand. He controlled an emotional attachment to those people like no other. He could switch them on to make them cry. He could make them laugh. He could make them dance. And that, to me, is the ultimate performer, to have that control and that ability. So, he was wonderful to work for. bizarre, yes, but just a wonderful, wonderful artist.
I mean, when they're that good, they're just different. They're different people. That's what they are.
They have to be, mate. They have to be. You can't be. You can't be what they are in a normal shell. No. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't work.
Do you think with some of those big acts, Glenn, that being an Aussie yourself, that sort of the way we sort of all come across, as Australians, does that, the no nonsense, or does that work good with a lot of the people? They feel a lot of, that works with them good?
Without a doubt, mate. It's Australia when they guys go out on a world tour, and I'll give an example. My mate Bobby Wine, who tours around the world with AC/DC, signs on for 3 years for a world tour. That's how long it takes from start to finish. Wow. And they might come down here and they might spend 3 or 4 months here. Now, when they get here and they've been through Europe and they've been through North America and they've been through countries like Russia and the Baltic states where the security are armed with AK-47s and everything's a threat, they get down here and it's like, shit, where's the sunscreen, the board shorts? These guys have got everything under. It's just it's like Australia's a big holiday place, and that's genuinely how they see it. So they're cracking their neck to get here. Yeah. But again, go back to the fact that we do such a good job when they arrive, all of our event partners and our event managers, that they have a sense of comfort and they relax and they enjoy our country knowing that the job's going to get done. They don't get that around the world. It's a very different place. So, they love the Aussies. And that's why we're always on the calendar.
Yeah. I think they learn. Go on, Johnny.
I was just going to say, is that the same reason why if they're going to do something in Asia or somewhere else around the world, they go, I know I can rely on Glenn and all that sort of stuff, and the way
I'm sure it is. You know what it's like, and Webby, you know what it's like. If you're doing Motorex 10 years in a row and you've got a wonderful bunch of support staff around you, whether they're Australian, you're calling on them.
Yeah,
no,
you don't change
it. don't, because it's a magic formula. And you know what? Trust in that industry is imperative. Yeah, if you've got $20 million worth of cars at Motorex, you want to be damn sure that when you guys go home at night, that your security bloke
100%
is taking great care. So if you've got a good security guy, he's worth that in spades, because you can go home and put your head on the pillow.
It's literally just Webby walking around with an axe. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jesus. Imagine going home at night knowing that was happening and you weren't 100% sure that your client's products were safe.
It's Webby going around with a magnifying glass, checking all the paint and all the chrome work, I think.
Yeah, that'd be right. Only on his car. He walked straight past mine.
You know what I was thinking when you were saying that about how all those, especially the entertainers, love coming here now? I reckon they learned something back in the day, or Australia learned something from Joe Cocker and Frank Sinatra. Remember when all that fell apart? And since then, I reckon they learn a lot, and how to treat those people.
We've got wonderful promoters, mate, and we've got promoters that have the financial backing, and that's a big thing, mate. And as you know, if you go to put on a big show, whether it be a car show or a concert or a series of concerts, it's bloody expensive, and you're throwing a ton of money out in front on the hope that you sell a ton of tickets. Yeah. So in the old days, some of the promoter deals were terrible, where the promoters might have only got the bottom 5%, the last 5% of tickets sold went to him, the rest went to the band. Them deals sort of changed over time, and the promoters nowadays do much more constructive deals with, where everybody does well. Now, if you get a good promoter and the band likes him, that band's going to come back to him year after year. Yeah. AC/DC have a long relationship with the Van Egmond family, terrific promoters. Yeah. Michael Jackson, you've got Paul Dainty, you've got Michael Gudinski, you've got all these great Chuggy. These guys, absolutely, Michael Chugg. They're legends of the game, and they've done so much for our concert industry, and we should be forever grateful that they brought those acts out here at their coin.
Hey, just on that, not next thing, but another big thing you done was you obviously got a great friendship with Costa Zoo. How did that all develop?
It's a great story. One of my other long-term clients, 26 years this year, is the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. And Costa had not long arrived in Australia. He turned pro straight after winning the world amateur titles in Sydney. Had an opportunity to go to the Olympics and decided not to. And Bill Morty and Johnny Lewis spoke with Costa, and he turned professional here in Sydney and stayed on in Sydney. Now, not long after he got here, he was invited to Newcastle to do a PC Police Boys Club function And the boss at the entertainment centre who was organising the event asked me to go down and pick up this little Russian guy and Johnny Lewis. So I went to Newtown PCYC and there was this tiny little specimen sitting out the front with a rat's tail and a heap of bags, and he jumped in the back of the car and Johnny jumped in the front and off we went. And he had no English, no command of the English language, absolutely none at the time. And so Johnny and I were talking and he sat in the back with a set of headphones on listening to music. And when we got to Newcastle, he didn't know anybody. He was here for a couple of days. So we sort of did our best to communicate, and sometimes even to the point we still laugh about it. I drew a couple of pictures for him so he could acknowledge what I was trying to say. And in a weird sort of a way, we became friends then. I was up and down to Sydney 5 days a week. So working at ANZ and having all these NRL stadiums at Cronulla, the SCG, we had them everywhere. So whenever I went to Sydney, I'd pop in and see him. I'd go and see him training, and we became mates. And his English got better very quickly, and then he enrolled for English school. And once he got that, then off it went. So first and foremost for Kostya and I, it was just mateship. And then as I watched his career unfold, and he very quickly climbed up to world champion status, there was a role that just came out of him ringing me and saying, I've got to travel to America a lot. Would you come with me and just keep an eye on things outside for our team? And so I did. And that was a wonderful ride. I had 15 years with Kostya, right to the very top of the tree. And we had just an awesome ride. And when he retired, I was happy that he retired. He'd done it all. He was one of only 4 undisputed world champions. And I had an experience of a lifetime that you couldn't buy. And so we remain great mates to this day. He lives in Russia now. He's remarried. He's got a young family. And we keep in touch all the time via Zoom and the internet. And now I was there when Timmy was born 26 years ago.
I'm going to get on to that in a minute, because I remember you even got a yellow Corvette for Kostya, didn't you?
That's right. And we were talking to Tim with that. You know, Tim's a car nut too, Webby.
Okay.
I got Timmy a Corvette recently, but we upgraded it to a real nice 69 Boss 302 Mustang.
Nice.
So we keep on moving on with the zoo car love affair. But yes, Kostya, I got him a beautiful 68 Corvette ragtop that he loved. And of course, when he went back to Russia, we ended up moving that and his Bentley on. We sold those. But yeah, so today it's Team Zoo 2. That's our name.
I couldn't believe it, actually.
I managed him.
Because you were telling me when you were just getting out of Lost in the 50s, going to retire, going to take it easy, and then Tim's I look around and Tim's around, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, here we go again. And guess what? Here you go again.
And it's a wonderful thing. And another little great story to that. 4 years ago last week, I had lunch with Tim and his mum in North Sydney, and I didn't think Tim was going to fight, because we'd had a few chats, Timmy and I, and he wasn't sure, and he was doing some other things in his life, and he was at a bit of a crossroads. And then one day out of the blue, he calls me, and then Natasha calls me that night and says, could you come and meet with Tim and we'll have some lunch? And I thought, that's nice to do that anyway. So I went down, and Timmy said, I've made a decision and I want your thoughts on it, and I want to know, would you be involved with me if I did it? And I said, what are you thinking, mate? He said, I want to turn pro. I've got the fire back in the belly. I haven't spoken to Dad yet, but I want to turn pro in the next 3 months. And I said, I remember thinking about it at the time. It wasn't a shock. It was not what I expected. And I asked him a question. I don't know why I asked it. I said, mate, why do you want to do that? And his answer sort of answered, and the reason we shook hands, he said, I just now know I want to see just how good I can be. So it was the right answer. He wasn't going in it to try and be his father. He wasn't going in it for the money. He just wanted. He's one of those driven kids that excels at everything he does. And so we shook hands, and the adventure started. And here we go next Wednesday night at Bankwest, fight number 17, undefeated, and a potential world title fight for 2021. So, yeah, it's been great. Been an enjoyable thing to do again.
I mean, I was just hats off to you to get that Horn fight up and running in COVID. Was just in itself was awesome, wasn't it?
Yes, and our promoter Matt Rose from No Limits. Matty worked his ring off to make that happen, and we are Tim's the only fighter in the world, and we are the only ones that have this record that during COVID will have had two sold out stadium fights, whilst the rest of the world are either sitting and waiting or fighting in empty studios. So that's wonderful, and that's been a lot of hard work. But for Tim, it's worth it, and it's certainly raised his profile today. He's now considered the face of Australian boxing. He's Australia's #1 boxer, and he's in the top 10 ranking worldwide in all 4 associations, and this week, including Ring Magazine. So he's come of age. Once you get to the top 10 in the world, you are considered to be in the A class. So where we go from here will depend upon COVID. There's a lot of places we can't go to fight, and it may be that we have to continue on and have a few more fights in Australia, which I'm sure the Aussie public will love.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do one in Newcastle just to follow Dad's footsteps and rerun that as well.
I'm sure you're not surprised, but I remember Costa from the first fight. He was just a machine, wasn't he? Yeah. Tim seems to be more measured, more structured.
Yes.
But would I be right in saying that? Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Often get asked by people, how do you compare them? I say, I can't compare them.
No.
Costa is incomparable.
Yeah.
He was a machine, once in a lifetime, once in a century fighter who came out of he came out of the Soviet Union, old Russia. It was a tough place. Came through the army, was the army champion, amateur champion. He had 274 amateur fights and lost 11.
Wow.
And consider the amateur system in Europe, those boys fought every 3 days against the hardest guys in the world, different to Australia. Timmy, born in Australia, grew up in the discipline of having his father, watching his father. Costa was a disciplinarian, very much a military man at home. He very one-dimensionally focused. Nothing got in Costa's way. So the kids observed that every day. So it was inbuilt into them, along with some DNA that Timmy has been blessed with from his father.
Summer Nats is the place to go. Everybody's here.
Summer Nats would like you to know that there's some exclusive new merch available now. Cool stuff like this, or this, and this, and this. Are we selling G-strings?
What?
There's also merch from previous Summer Nats events, Burnout Masters merch, and more. Be sure to click the Buy Now button to secure your exclusive merch. Mad. Do I have to give this shirt back? Can I have a free hat? Mad.
So that's really good. And without blowing smoke up yet, mate, you see so many of these guys, they're just surrounded by the wrong people in so many sports. They are so fortunate to have somebody like you driving that bus, mate. So well done.
I appreciate that, mate. We've got a great team of people, a very small team, as it was with Costa, and I'm very protective of Tim. And he's like a son to me, and it's family to me, Natasha and all the other kids. So I take good care of them, and I enjoy that. And I know that when the time comes, when Tim retires, that I'll be able to absolutely 100% say, mate, we did everything we could have done, and we had a ball doing it. And I just wish him health. I wish all fighters that get into the ring that they come out with their health and they make $1 along the way to set them up for life after boxing. That's all you can ask for. And it's a tough sport, and they deserve every penny they get, these kids.
It must sit bloody well with Costa, knowing that Tim's there with you. He doesn't have to worry about it. No doubt being overseas is tough with the son that wants to fight, but if he's there with you,
it does. It does. We often have those deep chats, and he just says it's a warm feeling for him knowing that his boys have been looked after, and that was always a given. Costa and my relationship will be as tight as it is until the day we go, and so it will be with Tim. And in boxing, that's a nice thing. And as Webby said, it's not always the case. A lot of fighters don't have that luxury, but I'll make sure It'll be my job
I know you
until the end that Tim's well represented and well looked after, and that he follows a good path. He's a good kid, and I'm not going to see success in boxing undo that. I just won't allow that to happen. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've been to the top with Kostya. I know what this sport's capable of doing, and I'll make sure that we represent Australia and his family with pride, and always do it in a manner where people will say, geez, a good kid. And that's the best I can hope for.
Absolutely. Mate, it's been absolutely awesome. I thank you for your time. I could spend another hour. There's a whole lot of other things I want to ask you, but that's about it for tonight. So I'd love to get you on again one day. We might get you on after he's won it, maybe when he's hitting.
Let's catch up for a post-fight chat. It doesn't have to be a long one, but I'll be happy to come on and give you a post-chat. And we might know some more news then. As to what's going to happen next year. But in the meantime, I thank you guys for the offer. It's always great to get on and chat with mates, and especially about things that we're all passionate about.
Absolutely.
Cars, our lifestyles.
Music, cars,
boxing.
Awesome, isn't it?
It's a good life, mate. Cars. That's one thing I'll say about the car hobby, that you have the choice to be surrounded by wonderful people. And it's an awesome hobby to be involved with, and something that I know when they bury me, there'll be a car in the shed for my grandson to roll on with.
I thought you were going to say you're going to get buried in.
That won't happen. I wouldn't do that.
Do you have a favourite Aussie muscle car? I know you like the American stuff.
I've got three, mate. I've got three. They are sort of mainstream Aussie muscle. Mm-hmm. I've got an XA Coupe. Yeah. I've got an XY GT, and I've got a nice, beautiful LX 308 fastback Tirana.
Yeah, nice.
All cars that as a young teenager I used to just dribble over,
Correct.
And I always said just quietly, I've always been an American guy, and not many people know I've got Aussie cars, but I've always enjoyed seeing those cars, and gosh, who would have thought the market would do what it's doing today with Aussie cars? But happy days for all those that own them, and wonderful for the hobby. But it wouldn't matter. It could be a $5,000 banger. I'd still enjoy it.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Good luck next week with Tim.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
And
thank you so much.
Talk
Absolutely.
soon.
Awesome.
Pleasure talking, boys. All the best.
Thanks, Cheers. Mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, I'm Benny Benz, and this is Mad Quiz Battle. Tonight we have Street Machine versus Summer Nats. It's Simon Telford versus Adrian Hodgson. How are we, gentlemen?
Tip-top roasting down here in Melbourne today.
Awesome, mate.
Loving life, mate. Ready to go.
Awesome. The way it works is I'll ask 5 questions. First to buzz in gets to answer. If you get it wrong, the other person gets a free kick. Most correct answers wins. The winner will go into the big final battle, where they'll win a crazy mad prize. We don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be something mad. You'll come back for it. It'll be awesome. You got to win, though. All right.
So JBens, are these prizes coming out of my marketing budget?
Yeah.
Am I buying myself a prize if I win this?
No, apparently you don't know about it, mate.
Righto.
Yeah,
Good.
Something like that.
Great.
Also, someone stole my glasses, so I stole me Mrs. Sunny's, but it doesn't matter. It's all good. All right.
And her pants.
Yeah, well, I'm not wearing any, so just this. It's got me long bowls jacket on, and I'm ready to go. All right. Telf, naturally, your buzzer is Streety. Adrian, yours is Nats. All right. Let's kick it off with question 1. What year was Holden founded?
Beep. Streety.
Telfo.
In the early 1900s, I reckon 1923.
No.
Don't try and say 48, because that's not true.
No. Founded.
1919.
No. Wrong.
Oh.
It was founded in 1856 as a saddlery manufacturer. There you go.
Damn.
All right.
Jack Seaman would have known about that.
He would have. Question 2. Who is the most recent Bathurst 1000 winner?
I fell asleep.
Yeah, me too. Was it the Kiwi guy? The thong? The jandal dude?
No. All right. Forget question that. We'll go to a new question. a new question 2, which will dip into our bonus question, but let's crack on with it. Question 3. Who am I? I was born in 1963 in Santa Barbara, California. I'm an automobile designer and a television host. I have won
Nats.
the Riddler. Adrian.
Chip Foos.
Bingo. You got it.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
He won the Riddler Award in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2015, and he's been to Motorex and had a draw-off with Barry Hall, the AFL legend. So there you go. You got that one? All right. It is 1-0. Telfo, we're up to question 3 or 4, but it's 3 now because we got rid of one. We're all smick here, mate. Don't worry about that. What
It's a slick
year?
operation.
This is totally slick. Maybe if we get some more of that other budget, we can make it a bit better. Get a couple more lights. It's not happening. All right, cool. Question 4. What year was Mad Max 2 released?
Straight.
Telfo.
1982.
Wrong.
Damn it.
H.
84.
Wrong. This is
88.
no. 1981.
Not that late. Yeah, not that late.
All right, we've got 2 questions
I
left.
was
Close. 2 questions left. It's 1-0. It's a big H. 2 questions left. All right. For the Streety team, mate. Come on, Telfo. Get in there. All right, ready? Question, whatever it is. The line, green is nice, is from which Australian film?
Straight.
Telfo.
And now I've gone blank. It's the
Nats,
Running on
Nats,
Empty.
Nats. Damn
Running on
it.
Empty.
He's got it. It's 1-1. Last question, too. Here we go. This is it. This is for Street Machine versus Summernats. All right, boys? You ready? All right.
Ready?
What album was released first? Green Day's Dookie or The Offspring's Smash?
Nats.
Adrian.
Smash.
No.
It wasn't, was it? It was Dookie. Yeah, early 93.
No. Dookie was released in Feb 94 and Smash was released in 1994. April 94.
What a
They
time
one
to
in
be
Feb,
alive.
one in April. So that's
2
it.
awesome albums.
We're
So
all out
who
of-
wins?
We're all out of questions. You win. Oh, it's 1-1.
Yeah.
That's right.
You got a tiebreaker, mate. Come on.
Tiebreaker. All right. Hang on. I'll have to cut it out because I've got another question. All right. Final question. You ready?
Yep.
What year was INXS's biggest album, Kick, released?
Straight.
Telf,
1987.
you win, mate. Michael will be proud.
Oh,
How
big
good.
NXX fan too.
Memories of my year 10 formal.
Yes. You want to sing us one of the tunes, mate?
Tropicana Goonbags. All I've got
Year 10 or last week?
Yeah. No, drunk goon for years.
Straight out of the bag.
Yep, straight off the clothesline.
Straight off the clothesline.
And then
Clothes
warm at the beach later.
Right of the Hills Hoist, eh?
Yeah.
Good old Hills Hoist. They're not around anymore. Everyone used to use the bloody dryer these days. So that's why skinny jeans, they weren't a thing. They were made in the dryer. Everyone carries them like some
true.
design. No, mate.
True.
Everyone got lazy, started putting everything in the dryer. But that's it. That concludes Mad Quiz Battle.
Good
Telf,
job,
you are
Telf.
through to the big final, mate, where you'll receive
Adrian.
the world's best prize and battle up
Good
again.
luck winning stuff I'm paying for.
Yay! I think a $500,000 voucher to Maskell's Restorations would be good.
Yeah.
Have you already got a car half finished there?
I've got one ready to go.
Mad.
All right. Thanks, Telf. Thanks,
All right.
Adrian. Thanks,
Peace
boys.
out.
You got it.
All right. We'll catch you after. See ya.
You related to that Nats What I Reckon guy?
No.
See what you guys get on.
He's super famous, mate. I'm a nobody.
He's a good unit. He did a great job of summing. That's what I reckon. The cars go wada da 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 bang. That's how they go.
They do it some minutes. Love this look, JBens. It's awesome.
How come it's so hard for me to come up with a question?
You're great at this.
Welcome back. Podcast 5. We're doing the bodywork. How are you, Rach?
Hey, good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So this week, or last week, we finished off. We've sourced all our panels. We've got them all laid out there. It's like this big Lego puzzle to put back together, right? So
The fun part.
yeah. So right, start on the body. Obviously, start wherever it needs to, but you'd be doing the panels and that first, correct?
Definitely. Everything's pulled apart. Take everything apart, see what you're working with. You've got your panels. You want to start with lining up. I was always taught you're starting from the back to the front or doing what you need to get done. That was just the way I was taught. Obviously, everyone does everything differently. So for lining things up and working on gapping, gapping is very important. You want to align all of your panels, especially if you're getting new panels in from, say, Rares or something like that. You want to make sure everything fits. So you're doing all your body work. You want to make sure that you're using...
Rachel, I'll pull you up on something there because it's something that's pretty close to my heart. And I've heard a lot of people complain about, this panel doesn't fit and I've got this and that. And I'm thinking that stop complaining, you guys. How fortunate are we to have a company like Rares that will make a panel, and even if you've got to spend a day gapping it, so what? It doesn't really matter. I think we're so fortunate to be able to source all those types of panels, don't you reckon?
Oh, God, it's nothing better than going on the internet or even going into there and seeing in a catalogue that part you've been chasing that you've never thought you'd be able to get is like right there in front of you. I even had to have my quarter panels and my XP like handmade to both sides. And I'm like, yeah, cool, do it. I don't care how long it takes. I am so grateful that you can make them.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really important. So when you're gapping a vehicle, or would you expect to go around that with like a spacer or something to just pick those gaps are the same all the way around? Is that how you would do that?
Yeah, I've seen lots of people doing it in different ways. Some people would use, I've seen lots of different invented tools, literally from like people just putting piles of sandpaper and just having it the perfect width and just using that for the whole build. But then there's actually gapping tools these days that you can buy and it will have all the millimeters of where you want your gaps to be and whatnot. And, you know, some of these cars built from factory weren't actually gapped the nicest as they are. So
have you ever worked on a 57 Chev?
Ooh, look at this thing.
Bulgy panels, gaps from the factory. So
I've got pillow doors.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, compromise sometimes is a good thing if you're doing like this is just a streeter, so it's not a street elite, but nice as it is. But, you know, gapping is very important. So if, you know, when it comes to
it is important. It's a really important step, isn't it? Because it's something, especially you as a judge looking at that vehicle, it's something that really stands out, isn't it? That if it's wide at the top or you know, narrower somewhere or doesn't, or they don't sit flush together, it really stands out, doesn't it?
God, it stands out so much. It's just one of those things, no matter what colour your car is, even if you've got a dark car that you think your gaps are hidden and everything like that, it stands out. And having a nice, like, this is where the body work is very important, having those gaps all the way. When you're blocking down a car, you're going to be blocking into the next panel and hitting a panel. You want those nice, big, straight lines and, like, nothing bulging. You want to cut everything and just no wobbles, no anything. So when it comes to it, gapping is very important.
That's a good point you made there. Again, I've learned so much over the years. We used to block each panel individually. Well, now you're going to block, if you don't do it in the filler, you're definitely going to do it in the primer. You're going to be blocking that whole side of that vehicle as a whole, not as panel by panel by panel, aren't you?
Definitely. And I think the most important thing that's always stuck with me through the last 17 years is the fact that every stage of your build is a chance to have a really nice dead flat car. If you just wait, oh God, I'll get that with paint. Like start from like your metal surface, start from your epoxy, your polys, your fillers, anything that you do, it all can be helped at the end. Don't try and get a wiggle out at the very end when you're buffing. You want dead straight panels to start with, because a dead straight panel to start with when you're doing your body work means that your paint work, you have to less effort. Everything you want your life at the start, like the end, to be very just effortless.
Yeah. And do you, after you do your filler work, would you probably re-epoxy that because you're going to have bare metal and that'll have it? But then do you use a high fill primer, or are you a polyester girl?
Polyester girl. I do love polyester. I do love it. It's the old spray bog. It's amazing. The fact that like I've done jobs with high build, it just depends on the type of job and how bad the panels are, what you're really working with. If I wanted to do a black, big black dark car or something like that, and I want those panels dead straight, I'll chuck poly on there, because most of the time you're putting poly on and you're blocking near most of it off. And then you
what you'll have is you'll make sure it's sealed off underneath, correct?
Always.
Yes.
Always. Like when you're looking at it, like your most important thing is like find your materials in your bodywork that are definitely corrosion prohibitors and whatnot. You want all that from the start, because you don't want to get to the end and then find out it's just going to like start bubbling off later on. So protect the metal and everything else under. Don't do your bog work or filler work or anything like that and just leave it outside, or like leave it under a carport or anything like that. Just don't think that moisture can't get into your car, because it can and it will.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen some horrific jobs over the years with poly, but it's usually because obviously polys have come a long way from where they were in the past, but they also you've just got to make sure it's sealed off underneath. And when I'm doing training, the one thing I always say is that you wouldn't build a house on a sand foundation. So you're not going to do a paint job on a crap foundation. You've got to have that is the foundation. It's got to be solid to put your paint on, eh?
Definitely. And you want to give everything enough time to dry and do all the gassing out and whatnot, because if you start sealing anything off and you're just trapping, it'll let go again, or it'll sink back, and you're just creating yourself more issues. So, yeah, just follow the guidelines of everything, and, always talk to your professionals about getting the right products and the right things for each stage. Yeah. Don't feel embarrassed about asking, because the best way to know everything is just ask. We all did it. So
I agree. I've been in this industry for well over 40 years, and I do training now, and I learn something every day. It can be off that youngest 17-year-old apprentice. It just doesn't matter. So, ask the question. There is no such thing as a stupid question in our industry, is there?
Nah, not at all. I've asked plenty of silly questions, and sometimes I go, wow, I never even thought of that, but they're not. Yeah. They're like, if I don't say it, I'll be silly for not asking it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've got that epoxy, we've got the filler in, and we've got that vehicle pretty much ready for final primer and bog. So we'll go through that and spray bog. So we'll go through that next week, eh?
Sounds good.
Thanks again, Rach. As always, you're awesome.
You're better. Bye.
Back. That's it for episode 5, pretty much. Bit of a wrap-up. Glenn Jennings, what a guy, honestly.
Yeah, what a great guy. He had some amazing cars, as you heard there, and a lot of people around him, a lot of friends came to support him at the Lost in the 50s and kept the maintenance up and kept the cars in tip-top shape there. And just some of the people he knows is amazing, and he's so well connected, but still such a humble guy.
Yeah. He seemed like he seems like he's lived 100 lives. Like he's just got so many stories. I feel like we could just talk to him forever. And no doubt people from our scene might not know him from being at Summernats front and centre, but he's obviously had that museum in Newcastle, and he's done so many things with cars. And he's just a super car guy. There's so many passionate car guys out there.
Yeah, I had so many things I wanted to ask him, and so many interesting things. Yeah. We could do that all again,
Definitely.
And I was in the States, several times, and I'd be at a show. We used to have our wheel stand at the show, and we turn around and here's Jeno behind you. Be going through it. What are you doing? I'm just buying up 3 or 4 cars, or I'm going down to the auctions at Phoenix at Scottsdale, and he'd put some cars through. Yeah, just an incredible guy, great guy.
And Tim, he obviously manages Tim, and Tim's fighting tomorrow night, so look forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. And look, and he, as we mentioned through a couple of times throughout this podcast, is that he actually is really looking out for him. So really likes him, loves his dad, was really close with Costa. And so it was, they just got it's almost a father-son relationship.
Yep, absolutely. All right, just to go over events before we go, obviously Summer Nat Slam's coming up. Don't forget to get your tickies. Get your tickets for Summer Nat Slam. Spectators.
And yes.
Get them.
And that's all that's left.
You cannot get
everything
them at
else
the gate.
is gone. No, that's right. And there's no entrance. There's absolutely no entrance. I've been trying to get a couple of people in this week, and they're all full. So
if you can't get them in, mate, if you can't pull some strings to get them in, nobody's getting in.
we're done.
And you can't get spectator tickets at the gates, so you got to get them online. So get there and get them, because if they will sell out too, and once they're gone, that's it.
They're gone.
Rev Rock and Roll, Rare Spares, Rev Rock and Roll in March. Entries and tickets are on sale for that now. Sorry, just entries are on sale for that. The little birdie in my ear again. Spectator tickets for that are coming in January.
Yeah, and again, that's going to be a great event. I've just been inundated even today with people wanting to enter, but also new cars, unveiled cars. So there'll be quite a few unveils at Motorex early February, but I can tell you there's going to be quite a few. Not so much left over, but they just won't be finished for Motorex. I reckon could have up between 10 and 15 brand new unveiled cars for our show in Canberra.
Absolutely, and also Motorex. How can we forget Motorex? Absolutely. What people?
I can't. You probably can, but I can't.
I haven't forgotten, mate. I'll be there. Don't worry, with bells on.
No, it's going to be great. And look, it's a little bit. It's not so much unfortunate. It's just the times we live in. We're not having the 2020. Which we invited the past Superstars winners back. Yeah. We're not having that for this event because we're limited on entrants and we're limited on spectators. It's still going to be a big event, but it wouldn't get it just wouldn't get the hype or to get where we should go. So we're going to leave that for our next event. We'll have invite all the past Superstars.
It's still going to be. It's still going to be.
Oh, it's still going to be great. We're still going to have 25 Superstars, and we've got all the muscle cars. We've got a whole lot of other stuff going.
I've seen a few cars that are getting built that are going to be unveiled, and I can tell you, like obviously we can't talk about them, but man,
we can talk a little bit, and we're actually going to have a whole haul of brand new unveiled cars. I believe we'll have probably between 25 and 30. So we're going to unveil a haul of new cars. How good's that?
That's awesome, mate. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, don't forget to get your merch on summernats.com.au as well. There's plenty of new Slam, Burnout Masters merch. There's old school Summer Nats merch still on there. There's some new stuff, new styles. Get on there, summernats.com.au, and get your merch. This is the show. That's the podcast done. Thanks, everybody, for staying around listening. We really appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber or if you're on the YouTube channel, please click subscribe. Webby would love that. I'd like it if you could click the like button. If you're on Facebook, give us a like, give us a share.
And thanks, Burson Garage again. Fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for episode 5. This is the Burson Garage HPHQ Podcast. We've got to thank Burson for their involvement.
Very much.
What a great company that they're doing great things in the trade, all sorts of stuff. So make sure you guys get out there and support them. Absolutely, because they are supporting the show. Awesome. Yeah. All right. See you guys. Cheers, mate. Next Tuesday. Cheers, mate. See ya.